Hey guys, here's another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So pretty busy day here in the shop today for a Friday. Those of you that follow routinely can see that the gray 55 Beetle is gone. So I finished that up today. The car is running really good, driving really good. Took it out on several test drives. Yeah, it's a sweet little car. So kind of sad to see it go, but the owner seemed really happy with it, and he texted me later, had a good drive home in it. Car is running great, runs great, stops great, steers great. Just an awesome little car. So he was very excited to get it back. Trying to think if I did much of anything today. I think the only thing really I did to that car today was he's got an aftermarket steering column in it, and then he's got also kind of a similar horn setup as this Ghia. Steering wheel set up with this adapter and stuff here, and kind of a quick release steering wheel. And so with the V-dub steering wheel and stuff, you don't really have that problem, but his steering column shaft was a little bit, I guess, too far forward, and it was putting a lot of basically like compression between the steering hub adapter and the turn signal mechanism. And so basically what was happening was when you would turn the wheel, it would kind of drag the turn signal mechanism with it. So you go to like change lanes or something, and it would just automatically like turn the turn signals on, at times that you wouldn't necessarily want it to. So I basically just loosened that up at the steering coupler, slid the shaft backward, maybe millimeter or two, and that cleared it up. So that was pretty much the last little thing to do on that car today that I noticed after I took it for a test drive. And yeah, I took it for a few test drives, and great running little car. So likewise, this one is running much, much better. So this morning I went over to my buddy Brian Roth at Roth Vintage, and he had a couple of jets that were much more appropriate for this car. So I put in a 55 idle jet, otherwise known as pilot jet, on these, and a 130 main jet. So the car had a 140 main jet, which is a little big, but then it had this enormous 70 idle jet in it, which is just way too big. So yeah, 55 and a 140. Put the carburetor back together. Those of you that watch routinely know that I cleaned the carburetor very thoroughly yesterday. Blew a bunch of gunk out, got some passages cleared out that had previously been clogged despite having cleaned it before. And so yeah, it's running really nice now, very smooth. The vacuum for the vacuum advance distributor now is working. I actually ended up bumping the ignition timing a little bit. It needed about maybe almost 10 more degrees of advance in it. So I fiddled around with that a little bit. Running really good. It's not dying at stop signs or stoplights anymore. The idle speed is a hair high, but it's okay. It's not terrible. But yeah, it runs very smooth, way more power, way more smoothness. And yeah, it's really a fun car to drive. So I think this car is basically done. I don't know. I'll probably take it for another drive. And I know that Rick from Florida is probably going to say like, oh, haha, Brian, of course you are. You love driving that car. Well, there's some truth to that. I do love driving it, but I'm just paranoid about, handing the car over to a customer or making sure that if anything is going to go wrong, I'm going to find it instead of them. Pretty sure there's nothing else left like that on this car, but I'll probably take it around the block again or time or two. But yeah, it's basically ready to go. And then, as I had mentioned before, this customer has a fiberglass dune buggy, an original Manx buggy that's been sitting, I think, for about the same amount of time, upwards of like 30 years as this car was. So he's pretty much going to take the Ghia and bring the Manx buggy in. They're going to swap places in his garage, and they're going to swap places in my shop. And so we'll get started on that one, maybe next week. So other than that and the gray 55 Beetle, we had Robert from Kustom Correctionz came out today, and I don't remember if I mentioned this before or not, but I had the idea to go ahead and have this car all polished and buffed out before we really put it together, as far as bolting fenders on and stuff like that. I mean, you can just get at everything so much better when the car is disassembled that I thought it made sense to have him go ahead and come out and do his thing, and then he'll do it again when the car is finalized as far as being built all the way out. So yeah, he did the doors, he did the fenders. The deck lid and the front hood are still at the paint shop getting some last little details on them, so he wasn't able to do those, but he'll do those at the end when the car is done and ready for its final polish. So yeah, car is looking amazing. The paint shop had done a pretty good job, but you can't really beat Robert in his attention to detail as far as really dialing in the paint. And so yeah, like I said, we'll have him do this again and ceramic coat it when the car is done. But for now, looking amazing, and he's just able to get in all these nooks and crannies like here where you wouldn't necessarily be able to when the window rubber is on. You know, all these areas like this that would have trim on them when we finish the car. Get all that stuff with it disassembled. So glad I went ahead and had him out, and he did an amazing job as usual. Let's see some pieces here that he did, looking really good. Only other thing I did today was I gave the 69 Cowlook Beetle a little bit of love. I started disassembling or cleaning some parts for it so I can paint them or powder coat them. Really nice original V-dub stamped valve covers, cleaned up really nice. Probably go ahead and have these powder coated, and I may take these over to Gene Berg's shop and have him put breathers on. Again, this car is getting a big motor, basically a 2-liter, and could use some breathing, so I may go ahead and have them TIG weld breathers onto these. Took the steering column apart. This thing was bent, as they seem to always be, so I straightened it out, cleaned it. Likewise, his rear transmission mount. This thing was all bent up. It was actually pretty ugly, so spent some time doing some metal work on this, little hammer and dolly work and so on, getting that edge straight, which was pretty mutilated looking. So looking much better now. Once we go ahead and powder coat this, it'll look like new. And likewise, got all the steering and ignition switch and all this stuff disassembled. I'll probably put a new turn signal mechanism on it. This one, the turn signal canceling mechanism, is totally botched up, doesn't work at all. The wires are kind of screwed up, so yeah, we'll go ahead and put a new one on. Anyway, that is it for today, and that is it for this week, guys. Hope you enjoyed this, and we will see you again soon. Bye.